Dear students, today we are going to discuss the first chapter of history, 10th standard, revolutions that influenced the world. Here we are discussing only the focus area and important questions and its answers. Focus area are the American War of Independence, French Revolution and Russian Revolution. Here first question, prepare a flow chart illustrating the various events that led to the formation of the United States of America. Its answer, the American War of Independence. First point, the 18th century England had established 13 colonies in the eastern coast of North America. The people in the colonies economically, socially and politically exploited by England. Third point, the British collect tax from 13 colonies. Fourth point, no taxation without representation. This slogan was raised by the people of America. This is an introduction and 4 points are there. Then, mercantilist law. After, we have to write thinkers and ideologies. James Otis. He said, no taxation without representation. John Locke. Everyone has some fundamental rights. Thomas Paine. There is something absurd in supposing a continent be perpetually governed by a foreign power. These are the words of thinkers. And important incidents of the American War of Independence. First Continental Congress at Philadelphia in 1774. People of the colonies submitted a petition to the King of England. Then the Second Continental Congress at Philadelphia in 1775 elected George Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. The declaration was prepared by Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin. The war between England and colonies in North America that began with the Declaration of Freedom in 1781. According to the Treaty of Paris in 1783, England ratified the freedom of 13 colonies. The Constitution Convention held at Philadelphia under the leadership of James Madison framed the American Constitution. George Washington became the first president of the United States of America. These are the main points. First Continental Congress, Second Continental Congress, and Declaration of Freedom in 1781 and Treaty 1783. Then, impact of the American War of Independence. The American War of Independence gave direction and motivation to the later freedom struggles. and put forward the concept of republican form of government and prepared the first written constitution and contributed to the concept of federal system. This is American War of Independence. Mercantilist law. What are they? The goods to and from the colonies must be carried only in British ships. British stamp must be affixed on all the legal documents. Import tax must be paid for the import of tea, glass, paper, etc. These are mercantilist law. This one we should write at the beginning. Then second revolution, that is French Revolution. What are the causes of French Revolution? Autocratic rule of the emperors. Rulers were squatters. Social and economic inequalities. Rulers exploited the middle class. Thinkers and their ideologies. Voltaire ridiculed the exploitation of clergy. Rousseau declared that the people are the sovereign. Montesquieu encouraged democracy and the republic. Different events of French Revolution. There is a chance of a question. What are the different events of French Revolution? They are in 1789, the members of the Third Estate declared themselves as the National Assembly of France. We know in French society there are three estates: First Estate, Second Estate, and Third Estate. And the Third Estate, they assembled in the tennis court nearby and swore not to leave until they had framed a constitution of France. This event is known as the tennis court oath. Then there is a chance for coming a question like that. What is tennis court oath? The Third Estate, they assembled in the tennis court nearby and swore not to leave until they had framed a constitution of France. This event is known as the tennis court oath. 14 July 1789, revolutionaries stormed with the slogan Liberty, Equality and Fraternity, demolished the Bastille prison, the symbol of the Bourbon monarchy. That was the main incident in French Revolution, and it was the beginning. 12 August 1789, the National Assembly passed the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. That was on 12 August 1789. And October 1789, thousands of women marched from Paris to the Palace of Versailles with the slogan, "Give us bread." That was on October 1789. And September 1792, the National Convention formed as per the new constitution proclaimed France as a republic. These are the main events or different events of the French Revolution. And what are the influence of the French Revolution? Spread the ideas of equality, liberty, and fraternity. Helped the growth of middle class. Led to the emergence of nationalism. Contributed the concept of people's sovereignty. Entered the feudal system in Europe. How the social inequalities in France affected the French Revolution. The second question. The French society was divided into three strata and they were known as the estates, the form of French society. First estate, clergy. They held vast land, collected the tax called tithe from farmers, exempted from all taxes, controlled higher positions in administrative and military service. Then second estate, nobility, engaged in military service, collected various taxes from farmers, made farmers work without wages, exempted from taxes, led luxurious life, held vast lands. What about third estate? The middle class, including traders, writers, lawyers, officials, teachers and bankers, farmers and craftsmen. No role in the administration for the third estate. Paid land tax, namely tithe, to the government. Low social status, paid taxes to clergy and nobles. These are the situation of third estate. And third question, how did the French Revolution influence the reforms of Napoleon? Reforms of Napoleon we can frame like this. Farmers were made the owners of land, constructed several roads for transportation, established Bank of France to centralize finance, and exercised state's control over the clergy. These are the reforms of Napoleon. The third revolution, Russian Revolution. What are the causes of Russian Revolution? Autocracy of the Tsar emperors. The landless farmers had to pay huge tax. The low agricultural production. Farmers and factory workers in Russia led a tragic life. Ideologies of the thinkers. Writers like Maxim Gorky, Leo Tolstoy, Ivan Turgenev, Anton Chekhov depicted the plight of the workers. The Marxist ideologies formulated by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Based on the Marxist ideologies, the Social Democratic Workers' Party was formed. That was an important thing. Social Democratic Workers' Party. Later, this party was split into the Menshevik and the Bolsheviks. The Mensheviks are minority and Bolsheviks are majority. Bolsheviks, leaders Lenin and Trotsky. Menshevik, leaders Alexander Kerensky was the leader of Mensheviks, and analyzed the circumstances that led to the form of a provisional government in Russia. Otherwise, we can say February Revolution. Workers' organizations called the Soviets were formed all over Russia to conduct strikes. When these strikes gained massive strength, the emperor was compelled to form a legislative assembly called Duma. Ignoring the protest from Duma, Nicholas II, the then Tsar, decided to participate in the First World War that started in 1914. The result was food shortage became severe by 1917. The workers organized a protest march in Petrograd. The workers captured Petrograd and Nicholas II was thrown out of power. A provisional government was formed under Alexander Kerensky, the Menshevik leader. The revolution came to be known as the February Revolution. These are the events of February Revolution. Otherwise, the question will come, analyze the circumstances that led to form a provisional government in Russia. And then discuss the role of the October Revolution in establishing the proletariat government in Russia. Otherwise, October Revolution. A group of Soviets did not approve of the provisional government. Lenin strongly opposed the provisional government. He argued that the entire power should be transferred to the Soviets. The Bolsheviks and the Soviets supported him. They propagated that only proletarians' government could eradicate centuries-old economy backwardness and inequality. In October 1917, the Bolsheviks organized an armed rebellion against the provisional government. Kerensky fled from the country and Russia came under the control of the Bolsheviks. This event is known as October Revolution. These are the main events of the October Revolution. Then, results of the Russian Revolution. Russia withdrew from the First World War, gave importance to public sector, introduced centralized planning, spread the socialist ideas all over the world. This is the first chapter of history, the revolutions that influenced the world. Okay, thank you.